share briefly on what I'm going to be speaking about this afternoon is basically language in international business. My name is Marlene Cruz, and I own a language school in Newark, Columbia English Institute. I'm also the founder of a nonprofit organization for youth. I own a radio station, online internet radio station, and I am in the process of doing, again, a TV show that I host as well. And I am the commissioner of the Hispanic Commission in Newark. So I wear a few hats as well. And I want to begin by kind of wrapping everything up and bringing everything together with what Julie shared, with what Mayor Jones shared, and with what Mayor Smith shared. And I think they all had something in common, which they all kind of spoke about, the importance of doing your homework, the importance of, having a plan, but the importance of also being flexible enough to allow that plan to shift according to reality, right? Because reality happens. So the 50-50, like Mayor Jones was talking about. And I totally agree, and I want to echo the sentiments that they were speaking of, and add to it, speaking of the culture, because that's another thing that they had in common, the importance of knowing your audience, the importance of, when you're talking about international trade, knowing, the country, the culture, the people, what they like, what they don't like, right? You kind of have to get familiar. So these are some of the points I'm going to be talking about. Elements of culture and cultural change. Because culture does change. It changes with the times. Everything changes. So things are definitely bound to change. Communication elements. Verbal communication and nonverbal communication, because nonverbal communication could just be just as strong as verbal communication. And there's also written form of communication. The importance of education and the variable of education depending on the country, the area, the people that you are dealing with. Are these people educated? What level of education? What do they understand? Can they write? Can they read? These are all factors that come into play. Social institutions, abstract elements such as religion, which has a lot to do with international trade, believe it or not. There's some aspects of religion that some people can't do, because of their beliefs. Values and attitudes and aesthetics, okay? And as well, I'm going to be sharing a few keywords of international trade. I did prepare quite some a list of words. I'm not going to be able to share them all, but I'm going to share some with you guys, because if we share all, there are about 1,000 or more. So it's a lot to share. Beginning with elements of culture. So as a result of globalization increasing, the interaction of different cultures has been booming. Therefore, the culture, which is manifest in different behaviors and culture booming, behavioral norms, hidden assumptions, human nature, each occurring in a different level of depth, has profound influence on the international businesses. So basically, the culture in which you are going into, you are diving into, the country, the people, and how they think. What is, what do they like? What do they do on a day-to-day basis? Like Julie was mentioning, the importance of knowing that. Not going into a country and not understanding that some of them bow, and then you're here. That may be seen as a disrespect for some people. So these are the elements that you have to know. The communication elements, like we mentioned. Verbal communication, the barrier of language. And I see it all the time, because owning an English school, you get to see the differences of language, the differences of how I utilize a word, but when I change it to another language, it kind of shifts and changes a little bit. Yes?
We call it the nuances.
Yes. Yes. And it's a big deal because, yes?
We call it cussing. It changes in every language. Same meaning. I'm just saying.
I needed that entertainment part. Thank you. No, but seriously, it's something. Yes, it's something that could be, very detrimental. It could work to your advantage, but could definitely work to your disadvantage. So understanding the language barrier, understanding what makes a particular group of people tick. There's some words, although I'm Hispanic, I'm from Dominican Republic, there's some words from my country that in Puerto Rico, it's actually a curse word.
I like those words.
You know what I mean? And even tactics like what we're doing right now, humor. Humor is a great way to break ice. Humor is a great, I was having a conversation with Mayor Jones, and in the teaching world, humor is a way to kind of have the students relate to you. And it's the same way when you are doing international trade. You can use a little bit of humor. Be careful how you use it. Please, use it with caution, okay? Moving on to the element of education, as I was mentioning earlier. Whether somebody knows and understands a level of language, a formal language, an informal language, whether somebody knows how to read, knows how to write, what is the population that you are going to encounter? What do they know, what do they don't know? Because if they're going to be sitting there clueless of what you're saying, you know what I mean? It defeats the purpose. Elements of social institutions. Social institutions, and I'll read the definition, are defined as a complex of positions, roles, norms, and values lodged in particular types of social structure and organizing relatively stable patterns of human resources. So there are patterns that you need to look for. There are patterns in everything we do, and there are social patterns as well that you want to make sure you have under control. The religious element. Although it's a little hard to believe, religion plays a big role. I know there's several religions and beliefs that don't allow somebody to get too close. You know what I mean? Muslim women have to be covered. Yeah, it's a way of respect. You're not supposed to show your beauty if it's not to your husband. So these little things, when you go to another country, are things that you have to keep in mind. You can't really look at this woman too much because she needs to be covered. It's not for you to see. Things like that. We also have the element of values and attitudes. Obviously, that comes into play in the form that not everybody is well-versed in certain areas, right? We have our downfalls, we have our strong points, we have our weaknesses. Like Mayor Jeff was saying, know your weaknesses, because that would allow you to know where you should go, how you should move, regardless of how the other person or the other party that you're, getting to know moves. So understanding the values that brings. And another aspect is aesthetics, believe it or not. It's very important. Because when we're looking at other culture, what is beautiful for us may not be beautiful for them. So you want to make sure that you call their attention. You want to make sure that you relate to them. You want to make sure that you make them feel like their culture is important to you. You know what I mean? So a part of aesthetics is a part of being able to analyze what do they like, and being able to give that, being able to give the first impression of, listen, I respect you enough that I prepared for you, and look, this is what you like, so here. Body language. Oh my God, I can't say how important body language is, because there are certain things you can do with your body that to allow somebody to understand I'm completely closed for what you're saying, or I'm completely open. Exactly. Take a look at that.
You agree? Yes.
So you want that person to feel as if you care and you understand where they're coming from. For example, I was at the mall the other day, okay? And a lady comes up to me selling glasses.
Hers?
No, she's selling reading glasses. So
Not
I
for
said,
the clip, right?
no, I wish it was. I wish it was. So I tell the lady, oh no, it's okay, I don't wear glasses. She's like, oh, but it's okay, you're gonna need them. I hope I don't need them. And I hope you're not calling that to be for me. No, thank you, I don't need them. And she kept insisting. What I understood with that, you don't care about me as a person. You care about what you want to sell. You care about making money, but you don't care about Marlene. So why should I listen to you? You know, so when you're able to pull their attention and respect them in that matter, now they're all of a sudden they're open to it. You know, anybody has anything to share?
Yeah, when my son was a baby, I said the same thing. You don't care about me. You really don't, because you're pooping and peeing all over the place. You cared about me.
Does he care about
He was 6 weeks old, but I was like, you don't care.
And you don't have any milk.
And you know, I'm sorry, I found out why he didn't care. I just thought it was so odd.
No,
He wasn't listening. I'm like, listen, pay attention.
Mayor Jones, is that resolved now?
Yeah,
He cares about you a little bit?
I finally found out why he wasn't listening.
Okay. I'm happy. There you go. That applies to everything in life,
There you go.
you know? And here are some key words that I found that are commonly used in the world of international trade, because that's another point. You need to really understand the technology behind specific words that go with that language, because everything has a language. There's a computer language, there's an international trade language. You need to be able to understand this language, and it's part of preparation.
I won't go say cussing, I swear.
No cussing. No, none of that. So I'm not sure if I should read these or if I should send the USB or the file over, because there's a lot of them. Do you guys want me to share a few?
Yeah.
Okay.
The juicy one.
There's
No, this is something else.
okay. So international trade keywords. Absolute advantage refers to the ability of a particular person or a country to produce a particular good with less resource than another person or country, or to produce more of a given product using a given amount of resources. Asset approach, business valuation method based on the net asset value of a going concern, also called asset-based approach. So concerns are also, brought into the language of international trade, because you want to know what your concerns are. You want to know what to watch out for. You want to know the do's and don'ts of everything. Barter trade. Oh boy, some of us know that. Okay, the barter trade is a type of trade in which goods and services are directly exchanged for other goods and services without the use of money. Bond market. The bond market, also known as a debt, credit, or fixed income market, is a financial market where participants buy and sell debt security, usually in the form of bonds. So I'm going to share just a few more. Bubble economy. An economic bubble, sometimes referred to as a speculative bubble, a market bubble, a price bubble, a financial bubble, or a speculative mania, is a trade in high volumes at prices that are considerably a variance with intrinsic values. And call option. An option is a contract written by the seller that conveys to the buyer the right, but not the obligation. There's a difference there, the right and the obligation. It conveys the right, but not the obligation to buy. In the case of a call option or sale. In the case of a put option, which is different, a put option is different than a call option. In the case of a put option, a particular asset such as a piece of property or shares of stocks or some other underlying security, such as, among others, features contract. So as you can see, these are all terminology that we need to be well aware. What does it mean? Because if it comes up in conversation and we're like, let me Google that, that's not going to be very professional. So that's it for my presentation. I have a lot more that I wanted to share in terms of
You have a question?
verbiage. Any questions? Yes.
Are we going to get a written explanation of those terminologies?
Yeah, you can. I can send it to Fernando, and I can share it with everybody. Please make sure that they receive it. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much, and I do want to say that I am very happy and I'm very proud to see, although we are small amount, I'm very proud to see what happened here, because these are the things that need to begin to happen more often. You know, not only because of who is in the room, and we can all we're a force to be reckoned with, you know, apart, never mind together. But doing things like this is starting to educate the public, is starting to give the momentum that everybody needs to push forward. So thank you very much for being here.